today we're just going to give you a detailed view of the head of a UDOR pump. This is the 1515S pump. We're just going to maybe offer a few tips on removal and refitting the head. Okay, so the first thing is we've got an M5 Allen key socket with a breaker bar. We're just going to simply remove the bolts out of the head like so. These aren't actually that tight, so it's got a torque setting of about 25 Newton meters, so it's not as tight as you think. The important thing is that they're all done up in sequence, but we'll talk about that later on. You'll notice that they do have a washer on them, each one of them. Okay, so we've got all of these bolts out. I'm going to put them to one side, make sure you don't lose the washers. The next thing we're going to do is just using a rubber or a plastic hammer, we're just going to loosen the head and just give it a sort of upward tap. Obviously this is a new pump, so it should come off fairly easily. Just going to turn it over and okay, we've got a cover in the back and it does have an arrow on it, so that obviously is to the top of the head, so just be careful of that. You'll see that there. So we can put that to one side. Okay, so using a 13mm spanner, we've got the head off now, and going to just undo this. Okay, the important thing here is when you set the nut and the washer down, you put it on somewhere nice and clean, a nice clean rag. And just say be really careful how you take this off. There you go, so that's the old piston. And I'll give this a good clean round, just make sure there's no dirt in there and anything around here is cleaned out before you replace the piston. So in this instance, this is a brand new pump, we're going to put the piston back on. You'll notice there's a washer on the bottom of there as well, so just make sure that's in place. So again, ultra careful. Good idea just to gently turn this as you put it on. Right to the bottom, put the washer on. In this instance, I'm going to use a little bit of green lock thread, permanent lock thread. Just a little dot. Put the nut back on. Okay, so the torque setting on this nut is 15 Newton meters. So set the torque wrench, 13mm socket, and when it clicks, which it is there, that's tight enough. Obviously repeat as necessary for the other three pistons. And then it's just a case of simply putting the head back on. So again, I'm just going to give these a little wipe down, make sure they're nice and clean. So we can orientate the head again. And just be really careful how we put this on. Okay, it's in place. And then we need to put this back in place before I close it up. So, it's always good to start any thread by finger tight. Okay, so I'm going to tighten these in a kind of alternative pattern because I don't want any distortion on this head the way I tighten it down. So I'm going to go back to the top. And just make sure these are pretty firm all the way down. Go back to that one. And then to that one. And then to that one. Okay, the torque setting on these Allen bolts is 25 Newton meters. So, and again, it's a good idea to do them in its alternative pattern rather than start and work from one side to the other, because you don't want any distortion in the actual head, the way it sits onto the head. So just make sure the cover in the top is in the right place. And once you've torque set them into position, you're good to go. Okay, so that's just a basic quick service on replacing the pistons on the UDOR pump. Please feel free to comment and like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you soon.